Thank you for staying up. I'm absolutely, conflicted. I'll be honest. I'm conflicted. But Adrian, more importantly, mate, how do you feel?
Well, I got up at 3 a.m. to watch that.
Yeah.
And it's now, I don't know, after 5 a.m. here in Adelaide in South Australia. And it's Christmas time, right?
Yeah. The time of giving presents.
Yeah, and I think it's a time for faith. Faith in what is an extraordinary project we're seeing unfold. It's Shakespearean to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a tragedy, though. I think it's a very exciting and thrilling ride we're going on as Tottenham supporters. And I'm very proud of my team today. So proud of my team. I'm reminded of some words that Ange Postecoglou said in his first season when he was under a lot of pressure and people wanted to know about a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I believe what I believe. I really do, down to my core. I will stand on the highest ground, die a noble death, believing in what I believe." And whether we like this or not, this total commitment to instilling a mindset and a belief in a brand of football that he believes and in his experience will take us to being a team that will challenge every year at the top of the league title.
Yeah.
What alternative do we have?
Yeah.
I'm with you totally, Barnaby. I think the growth that we will get out of what happened in today's game and what happened against United a few days ago will ultimately serve the project so well. So well. And for us who have followed Spurs all these years, we've seen over and over again frustration. We've won one league title in 142 years. What do we have to lose?
We've won 2. We won in 51 and 61.
Oh, I beg your pardon. That's right, 2 in 142 years. So we have the opportunity here. I mean, as you've mentioned, Jed Spence was a revelation since he's come into the team. That's the sort of thing that we won't uncover unless we're in the middle of these trials and tribulations. So I just feel we have... And there were we were very unlucky tonight. I say tonight, in the middle of the night here. I did feel that Son was absolutely fouled when he was almost certainly going to find his way through one-on-one in the first half with the keeper. And we were unlucky when we took a quick free kick that sent him through again. So on balance, given the depleted squad we have, I feel that we are we can take a lot away from today's game, and we're all going to hear about the naive nature of the way we set up and the way we play. I felt at 5-3 we were a chance to equalise, and that's my assessment of it, Barnaby.
Yeah, Adrian. Just to say that, I mean, what I would say is I appreciate your positivity. I do. I have to say, even if Sonny had scored, I think any time we got within 2 of them, they would have just turned up and scored the other. I'm just going to bring on a comment here from Be Good Now 5. He says this: by the way, if you want to see the main difference between Spurs setup and Liverpool, just take a look at one player, Alexis McAllister. Now, the reason I brought this up is because I think what Be Good Now 5 is saying is he's talking something to do with tactics, something tactically and where McAllister was on the pitch. But the way I would choose to look at that is this: Alexis McAllister cost them £100 million, right? They paid £100 million for Alexis McAllister. Now, Ange Postecoglou, although I will also admit he said I would rather buy 2 £50 million players than one £100 million player, but he is not having the opportunity to play any £100 million players. In fact, since he's been at Spurs, he had to sell his only £100 million player. He is working off a group of players who are being brought in as part of the rebuild. Now, I also saw a comment, and I think I may even commented on it at halftime. Someone saying this isn't a rebuild anymore. Of course it is. We've had to get rid of the entire squad, and not just like the players who were left over from the Pochettino era, of which only Ben Davis and Sonny are left, but also the ones that were brought in for Nuno, the ones that were brought in for Jose, the ones that were brought in for Conte. get those wages off the books, start a new transfer strategy of young, exciting players like Archie Gray, who did brilliantly today, like Jed Spence. To give Ange his credit, he's now playing Jed Spence finally, okay? But like Lucas Bergwall, who I think will become a very brilliant player, like Dominic Solanke, who's the only kind of ready-made player that we've actually brought in. So it is the rebuild. And against these teams like Liverpool, where they've had this team kind of building up player by player over 3, 4, 5 years. So the reason I put this one about McAllister is, like, I don't think you can talk about Caicedo when we lost at home to Chelsea, or McAllister when we lost against Liverpool, without saying we're just not that kind of club at the moment. Now, for those people who protested outside the ground today against ENIC and Levy, subjectively, I would say I understand why they're protesting when it comes to looking at clubs like Chelsea and clubs like Liverpool spending £100 million on players. And that's frustrating, and the wages that comes with that. But Liverpool haven't spent £1.2 billion on a stadium, and Chelsea haven't either, but also, were taken over for £3 billion in a deal from an oligarch who was cheating the system for many years, and blah, 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 blah. So it's not the same. It's not simple. And Ange is dealing with not only all of that, but 10 injuries on top. So I think it's worth remembering that when everyone is just saying, Ange has got to go, because trust me, you look at, for me, and I'm sorry to take all your time here, Adrian, but I'm ranting a little bit, but look at Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim has gone in at Man United, and a lot of the social media fans of Man United will be like, you've got to get rid of Ten Hag. It's all Ten Hag. Get in the new guy. They lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth today, and they lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth last season. So it's not as simple as that. You've got to breed a culture. You've got to change the mentality and bring in the rebuild and the plans. And that is where I think Ange is trying to do all that. And that's where I think you and I, Adrian, are probably on the same page, which is like, actually, even in games like this, where you're like, there is always a part of you that thinks, should he really have just shut up shop? But actually, in terms of the long-term project, it will benefit us for him not to have done so.
I'm with you. I mean, and you've also got to look, you've got to ask yourself, what happened at Manchester United when Alex Ferguson went there? Yeah. Well, what happened was they finished 11th in their first season. Then they finished second in their second season. Then they finished 11th in their third season. Then they finished 13th under Alex Ferguson in their fourth season.
Yeah.
So the crowd, the fans and the media all called for Alex Ferguson's sacking in that fourth season. Then they finished sixth in his fifth season. Then they finished second in his sixth season.
Yeah.
And then in his seventh season, they bought Eric Cantona in his seventh season.
And there's no social media back then, Adrian. There's no social media back then. So the noise wasn't as loud. That's the main difference. The noise wasn't as loud, and therefore the noise wasn't as loud around, who was it back then? Martin Edwards was the chairman of Manchester United back then. Look, if Martin Edwards back then had been around, if it had all been happening now, Martin Edwards would be being chanted against by Manchester United's fans. So look, it's different. Look, let's just move on. Let's try and find some positives from this. We mentioned Jed Spence. I feel for Archie Gray. I don't think he put a foot wrong. Can you find any more positives for me, Adrian?
I thought the goals we scored were fantastic. Obviously, Kulusevski stood out, as he has been with his leadership and his just relentless desire to win every contest. Look, as I said to you at Barnaby, it's Christmas time. And we're in the realm of faith here, and we just need to absorb what we're going through at the moment and know that as the side develops and builds resilience and growth with a very young team, we have the opportunity and the makings of ultimately a title-winning team. And of course, there's going to be a transfer market strategy that's going to have to build that squad, as all great teams do. And, I'm one of these people who, is not sitting here calling for the board to be sacked and for the ownership to leave. I mean, the fact is they've taken a particular approach, which is to invest in the stadium and an extraordinary training facility. And I think the fruit will be born from that strategy, and I expect they'll back the manager in the way that the manager wants. And as Ange has said, I don't think it's a guarantee that if you go out and buy £100 million player, that you're going to automatically be guaranteed success. And, you know, I think we've just got to stick together as a club and be patient. And I think we'll reap the rewards.
Adrian, mate, thank you so much for calling and being so patient. I appreciate it. Can suggest don't read the comments because, frankly, anyone who is trying to find positives at the moment is getting a lot of stick. But there are some people in there also realizing that there's basically no point in the whole hiring and firing stuff every minute. It just doesn't work. But let's speak again after another game, Adrian. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Barnaby. Merry Christmas.
Mate. Bye-bye. And you, mate.